Resolution number 1, removal of agency heads. This is for the Pima County Board of Supervisors and the Tucson City Council. Resolution number 1, a resolution of the Pima County Board of Supervisors and the Tucson City Council calling for the immediate removal of agency heads involved in the unlawful seizure of an ADA protected service animal and a prize-winning flock of Trista declared candidate for sheriff and independent presidential candidate 2028, that is if we have elections. Whereas a coordinated multi-agency raid resulted in the unlawful seizure of an ADA protected medical alert service dog without probable cause and a therapy flock. And whereas agency records and photographs confirm the animals were in excellent health, and whereas such conduct violates Arizona law, federal ADA protections, and basic standards of animal welfare, and whereas public trust has been irreparably damaged because this is a fucking scandal, outrageous, shocking to the conscience of the community, as it's called in legal terms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board calls for the immediate removal of the heads of the 3 agencies involved in said operation, pending independent investigation, and be it further resolved that the board formally demands the immediate return of the unlawfully seized service animal Dr. Baker and the rest of the flock. Be it further resolved that all related records be preserved and released for public and judicial review. Resolution 2, shutdown and replacement of Pima County Jail. A resolution declaring Pima County Jail a public health and a human rights emergency. Whereas Pima County Jail's death rate exceeds nationally recognized crisis benchmarks, and whereas continued operation under current conditions poses imminent risk to life, be it resolved that the board initiate an emergency shutdown and transition plan. Be it further resolved that the county partner with the ACLU of Arizona independent medical experts and civil rights monitors to design a lawful humane replacement system emphasizing diversion, treatment, de-escalation, and transparency. Resolution number 3, interim sheriff's proposal. A resolution establishing interim leadership of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, PAC, and the Attorney's Office. Whereas public confidence in current leadership has collapsed, be it resolved that the board consider appointment of an interim sheriff committed to consent, interim sheriff and head of PAC and head of district attorney office, to consent decree level reforms. Be it further resolved that the interim sheriff voluntarily allocate 50% of salary towards housing and homelessness solutions in Pima County. Be it further resolved that said interim sheriff work in formal partnership with the ACLU and civilian oversight bodies. Press release. For immediate release. Pima County resident demands return of unlawfully seized ADA service dog and flock, calls for agency heads removal and jail shutdown. Tucson, Arizona, an award-winning journalist and declared sheriff and presidential candidate, Trista announced today she will address the Pima County Board of Supervisors at every meeting until her ADA-protected medical alert service dog, Dr. Baker, is returned, as well as her prize-winning flock of animals. She cites agency records proving the dog was in excellent health, as well as all the animals, and alleges, which is cruelty to animals. That's like 300 counts of cruelty to animals. This should be considered a rescue operation. These are violations of Arizona law, the ADA animal cruelty statutes, and constitutional protection stemming from a 60-officer raid on my property, August 30, 2023. I'm also calling for removal of agency heads involved in emergency shutdown of Pima County Jail due to excessive deaths and immediate civil rights oversight. National civil rights and animal welfare organizations are invited to monitor this case. Here are 20 newsworthy points for the lamestream media. A 60-officer raid for zero probable cause. The disappearing ADA handbook. When your own photos become evidence against you. Service dogs are not contraband. Arizona law meet Arizona reality. PAC's accidental confession via paperwork. Excellent health as grounds for seizure. Emotional distress now with receipts. Keystone cops, but with badges. Jail deaths, quadrupling Rikers. No big deal? How to run a prison camp on taxpayer money. Silence as official county policy. Treating budgets versus civil rights. Elections and law enforcement. Cops. Journalism, oops. Thought it said cops. It says elections and law enforcement. Oops. Journalism as a punishable offense. Oversight theater now showing monthly. The service dog is whistleblower. Why the ACLU keeps getting tagged. When accountability becomes radical, the revolutionary idea of doing your job. I'm Trista, your interim president, and I approve this massage. Please help me rescue all my animals from pack in the sheriff's department, and help me repost this and share and tag your media outlets and demand that they cover this story. Worst case of institutional animal cruelty in American history.